What is up, everyone? My record for week one was 13-3. This is going to be my week one reactions and takeaways. So our first game was Chiefs-Ravens. Chiefs did beat the Ravens 27-20, and I actually got the score prediction correct because I said Chiefs would win 27-20, and they did. And basically, what I have to say about this game is Lamar, he played all right, but he definitely needs to work on his accuracy. And the Chiefs did, what the Chiefs do and win games like they need to. So, good win for the Chiefs. Definitely not the worst loss for the Ravens. At least they were competitive, and I think they'll be fine in the long run. It was just probably since it's the first game with, Lamar and Derrick Henry. They haven't played in a while. That's probably why they lost, but I think they'll be fine in the long run. Moving to our Friday night game, the Eagles beat the Packers 34-29. And I'll just say this, I hope Jordan Love recovers soon enough. He got injured on one of the final plays of the game, which is very unfortunate for the Packers. So hopefully he can heal up in time. But all I gotta say is, man, that field was awful. They played in Brazil for the first time, and that field, there were players slipping all over the place, and it was just not a good field to play on. And, you could really see that with some of the offense from both of these teams because they were pretty sloppy. And the Eagles did win. It definitely wasn't a pretty win because they, had some turnovers in the first quarter and they were looking pretty bad, but they were able to rebound and win this game. And I think the Eagles are going to be good, and I also think the Packers, once Jordan Love comes back, they will also still be pretty good. Moving on to Sunday, our first 1 o'clock game we'll go over is the Steelers beating the Falcons 18-10, and the Steelers didn't even have to score a touchdown. They kicked 6 field goals and won the game, and that was enough. Falcons, they looked pretty ugly. This was Kirk Cousins' first ever game with the Falcons, and he was pretty bad. He had 1 touchdown, 2 picks, and they just couldn't move the needle on offense. The Steelers' defense was just horribly overwhelming their offense. And, if you're a Steelers fan, this is basically how your team wins games. They'll do, the most boring shit imaginable, like kicking 6 field goals, which is what they did, and still win. And, I guess if there's anything positive I can say about the Falcons, this is probably going to be one of the best defenses you'll have to play all season. And considering it was Kirk's first game and he's still kind of recovering from his injury, his Achilles injury, I can see why they would have struggled, but it's definitely not what you want to see. So hopefully they can rebound next week. All right, our next game, the Bills were able to knock off the Cardinals 34-28. And I was watching this game. I'm not going to lie, the Cardinals definitely could have won this game. They were in it for the whole game. And at the end of the first half, they were actually winning 17-10. They were up 17-3 at one point too, and the Bills, being the better team, were able to eventually crawl their way back and win this game. And this was my lock of the week. I thought the Bills were going to crush the Cardinals, but I got to give credit to the Cardinals. They were a hell of a lot more competitive than I thought they would be. They probably could have used Marvin Harrison Jr. more because he only had 1 reception for 4 yards. And on the Cardinals' last drive, there was a play where he was wide open in the end zone. So Cardinals nearly getting an insane upset here. And the Bills, they just did what they had to do. Josh Allen had 4 total touchdowns. Their defense sucks ass, but, when you have Josh Allen on the offense, I think you'll be fine. And as for the Cardinals, this is obviously, you don't want to lose, but, it's good that you were competitive with an arguable Super Bowl contending team. So I think it's good that they were as good as they were. And if they can get Marvin Harrison Jr. more involved, I think they'll be, a tough team to beat week in and week out. Moving on, our next game is the Bears beating the Titans 24-17 in Caleb Williams' first ever career start in the NFL. And don't let the score fool you. The Bears honestly sucked on offense. Caleb Williams, which, I mean, he's a rookie making his first career start, so I wouldn't expect him to be amazing. But, you know, they didn't have a single offensive touchdown, which is kind of embarrassing considering the weapons he has. I know he's a rookie, but I mean, it's just like you have Keenan Allen, DJ Moore, Rome Odunze, DeAndre Swift, Cole Kmet, and you can't get a single offensive touchdown. I mean, you guys got the win, so I'll give the Bears credit for that. But the Titans, oh man, Will Levis, yeah, he sucks. He was horrible in this game. He had one of the worst interceptions ever for his final pass of the game, I believe. I'm not sure. But that is ultimately cost the Titans the game because they were up 17-0 and they just couldn't get it done. The Bears were able to play elite defense and special teams and get a win that way. Titans, oh, that's not good. I mean, I don't expect you guys to be that good, but like, goddamn, like you lost to a rookie quarterback who didn't even score an offensive touchdown. Like, that's pretty bad. I'm not going to lie. Bears, I mean, if you can get your offense to, you know, not suck, you guys could be a very scary, you know, fringe playoff team. Moving on, we have one of the most shocking outcomes of the week. Patriots beat the Bengals 16-10, and if this was in like 2019, people would be like, oh, what's the big whoop? But we're in 2024, and the Patriots beating another arguable Super Bowl contender in the Bengals is very surprising. I mean, it's not surprising for the Bengals because they always struggle in weeks 1 and 2 for some reason. They always have with Zach Taylor and Joe Burrow. So, like, I wasn't that surprised, but I mean, the fact that they actually lost to the Patriots, it's just so weird to look at it. Like, you can tell yourself that they could, but when it actually happens, like, that's something else. But, I mean, Gerard Mayo got his first ever win as a head coach, so congratulations to him. And, I mean, congratulations to the Patriots for beating the Bengals. I didn't think you could do it, and I'm sure a lot of other people didn't think you could do it either. As for the Bengals, you just got to figure out how to play in weeks 1 and 2, because I'm sure they'll be fine, but, like, man, weeks 1 and 2 are just unwatchable for Bengals fans. So, yeah, that's my takeaways for that game. Patriots, enjoy this win because, I mean, it might be the only win you have all year, if I'm being honest. Bengals, you'll be fine. You have Joe Burrow and Jamar Chase. I'm sure they'll figure something out. All right, our next game's an AFC South matchup. The Texans narrowly beating the Colts 29-27. And I just got to say this. CJ Stroud is definitely not going to have a sophomore slump like some people said he might. He was unbelievable. And so was Nico Collins and Joe Mixon. Stephon Diggs had 2 touchdowns as well. So the Texans' offense was humming. And even the Colts were humming on offense too. Anthony Richardson, you know, he's the most boomer bust player in the league. And he definitely showed that. He had some unbelievable touchdown throws, some unbelievable runs, but he also had some unbelievably bad missed throws and some interceptions that you just don't ever want to see. So that's just the Anthony Richardson experience. And I mean, he's weird because he kept him in the game, but he also kind of lost him the game too with his reckless play. I mean, I think the more he plays, the more he'll be better about that. But congratulations to the Texans for beating the Colts again. That's always good to beat an AFC South team when you're in that division. And the Colts, it's a heartbreaking loss, but, you know, your team definitely has a bright future, and I think you'll have a lot more wins than what some people thought you would originally. Moving on, we got the Dolphins beating the Jags 20-17, and if I'm being honest, I thought the Dolphins would score more points. 20 points is not really a whole lot for them, although the Jags could have just played really good defense. And, I mean, you know, it was a typical Dolphins game in the sense of yardage. I mean, Tua had over 300 passing yards. He had a couple of missed throws, but overall, I mean, they got the win. Jalen Waddle and Tyreek Hill both went for over 100 yards. Tyreek Hill got arrested before the game, but that's a whole other thing. Devon Achane is a lot better than I thought he would look. He is so freaking fast. I cannot get over how quick he is as a running back. And, they made some plays on defense. They definitely struggled in the first half, but they were able to come back and win in the second half, shutting out the Jags. So congratulations to the Dolphins. Your defense played a lot better than I thought it would. Your offense, was a little underwhelming. But you got the win. You played from behind, and you beat a quality opponent. And usually the Dolphins struggle with that. So congratulations for kind of shutting people up about the whole not being able to beat good teams thing. And I guess I'll see both these teams next week. Oh man, this one is not going to be fun for Panthers fans. Saints beat the Panthers 47-10. This sounds made up. The Panthers honestly suck. Bryce Young does not look any better than he did in his rookie season. You made Derek Carr look like Tom Brady in his prime. Man, oh man. I'm not trying to criticize the Saints, but you let them score 47 points on you? Geez, Panthers, you gotta figure your shit out, because that is awful. It's bad letting a Super Bowl team score 47, but a team that's in your division that's not even really that good of a team, man, Panthers, you need to really look at yourselves. Saints, congratulations on the win. I'm sure it feels really good to actually put up points for once, and that they obviously did. They scored the most points out of any team this week, which, is a given, because no other team scored that many points. But, try and get Chris Olave the ball more. That's really my only critique for the Saints, maybe. You're not going to be able to put up 47 every week. But you did it, so congratulations. Panthers, you might, have the first overall pick, and this time you'll actually have it, if you do. So I'm just gonna try and move on. I don't think Panthers want to hear more about this. Our next game, the Vikings able to beat the Giants 28-6, and Sam Darnold, he might be a legit starter for this team, for this season, since the unfortunate J.J. McCarthy injury. He looked really solid. He didn't lose in the game, and he looked efficient. He started the game 12 for 12, and he could definitely, get this team some wins. So good win by the Vikings. Giants, yeah, this was pretty bad. They only scored 6 points. And their offense looked so bad, horrible. Daniel Jones just didn't have time to throw, and when he was throwing, he obviously was playing pretty bad because it's Daniel Jones, and they only scored 6 points. Losing Saquon Barkley just took out any spark of offense the Giants had. And I'm sure, they aren't thrilled that he's having as good of a start to his career with the Eagles as he is. So they definitely, got to try and be better. Giants could honestly be one of the worst teams in the NFL just because they just do not have any sort of drive, I feel like. When I watch them, they just look like, a dead football team. It's I just can't really watch them and say that they're playing inspired football. The defense is all right, but when your offense is as bad as it is, it's going to lead to some losses, more losses than wins, so definitely not ideal for them. Our first 4 o'clock game, the Seahawks beat the Broncos 26-20, and this was Bo Nix's first ever career start. And I just gotta say, I'm glad we were competitive. We definitely could have won this game, but I can't complain too much. We had a rookie quarterback making his first career start, so I'm all right with this game as a Broncos fan. As the Seahawks, they looked really bad in the first half, but they were able to rally and eventually get the win in this game versus the Broncos. And, usually this is what you want to do when you're playing against an inferior opponent. You want to win, even if you're down, even if you have a bad first half. You want to take control of the game in the second half, which they did. And the Broncos, just unfortunate that they had to lose to the Seahawks again, just because we always lose to them, and it's kind of frustrating. But, I'm all right with how we looked. Bo Nix definitely needs to work on his, progressions. He threw 2 picks that were not very good. So hopefully as the year goes on, he gets better about that. But, first career game, not the worst, definitely not the best. But hopefully he learns from that and we can learn from this loss. Our next matchup is an AFC West clash between the Chargers and the Raiders. Chargers winning 22-10. And I'm going to be honest, Jim Harbaugh, he has really shifted the culture of this team. They had a very good second half. First half was kind of iffy, but second half more than made up for it, as J.K. Dobbins had like 160-something rushing yards in the second half alone, as the Raiders just had a bunch of trouble stopping him. And that's not a huge shock. Jim Harbaugh loves running the ball, and that he did against the Raiders, who I thought were going to be a better defense this season, but not in this game. They did a good job stopping Justin Herbert. He only had like 1 touchdown pass, so that's pretty good that they limited him. But, as for stopping the run, it's like they did probably the worst job of any team this week. So hopefully for the Raiders, they can, play better defense as the year goes along, and hopefully the Chargers can keep winning games like they did in this one, because if they can win like this, they could definitely sneak into the playoffs and, go from there. Moving on, we got the Cowboys destroying the Browns 33-17, and honestly, the final score is pretty generous. It was really more like a 33-10. The Browns just scored a touchdown with very little time left to make it look a little less bad. But, Cowboys, they paid Dak Prescott literally an hour before the game. They paid him $60 million per year, which he played $60 million per year quarterback in this game. He played phenomenal, and so did CeeDee Lamb. CeeDee Lamb, he was kind of held in check, but he also, obviously did enough to win the game, and he was, good, probably a good safety blanket for Dak in this game, just because, the Browns do have a good defense. Doesn't look like it, but they do. So it's pretty impressive that they were able to put up 33 points against them. As for the Browns, their defense obviously didn't do much, as the Cowboys put up 33, but their offense was really what was bad. Deshaun Watson just does not look like he can play quarterback anymore. He needs to retire or something, because he fucking sucks. I've never seen him look as bad as he does. This honestly might have been the worst game I've ever seen him play. He needs to go. But unfortunately, the Browns are kind of stupid and paid him $230 million fully guaranteed, which for a player like that is pretty ridiculous. So they're just going to have to deal with that from now on. At least they have a good defense and offensive weapons, so they better hope he can turn it around fast. Moving on, we got the Buccaneers beating the Commanders 37-20. And this was Jaden Daniels' first career start, and for a rookie, he actually played pretty well. He was probably the best rookie quarterback to play this week. He had, I think, 1 or 2 rushing touchdowns. He's a quick quarterback, so he was able to rack those up, which is actually pretty impressive, because the Bucs have an unbelievable run defense. And, it was good that he was feeling comfortable enough to run. His passing he definitely needs to work on, but I think it's safe to say all the rookies need to work on their passing. And as for the Bucs, they dominated. They put up 37 points. Baker Mayfield had an MVP caliber game in this game, and Baker Mayfield's super polarizing because he's always known for, playing bad when he's expected to play good. And, he probably used that as fuel to really take it up a notch in this game, which he did, as did the whole Bucs offense. Their defense was honestly pretty good, too. I said Jaden Daniels had a lot of rushing yards, but if I'm being honest, it's not like any of those rushing yards came, when the game was really being played. When they scored, This is another one of those games where the final score looks better for the Commanders than it truly was, because the Bucs were up I think 37-10 at some point. Like, they just dominated this game. I don't know if that's what it was, but something like that. Like, they just dominated an inferior opponent, and congratulations to them. Moving on to Sunday night, we got a rematch of an NFC wildcard game last year between the Lions and Rams, and like that game, the Lions were able to come up with a victory, winning this one in overtime, 26-20. And I watched this whole game, and I'm not going to lie, the Lions, they looked a little shaky. I mean, they were up 17-3 at one point, and they basically gave that lead up, and the Rams were going to win 20-17, but then the Lions were able to finally get their shit together in the fourth quarter and kick a game-tying field goal, go into overtime, and they won the toss, and then after that, they just easily moved down the field and got a touchdown on the first drive of the game. And, I mean, this is one of those games where if the Lions weren't careful, they could have lost, but thankfully for them, they didn't. They were able to still get the victory. They definitely have room to improve, but, I mean, the Rams unfortunately lost Puka Nacua in this game. He's going to be out for a few weeks, and, I mean, the fact that the Lions still almost lost with Puka not playing for most of the game, I mean, that's pretty resilient from the Rams. I mean, they're one of those teams where you can't really count them out ever. Like, they were down 17-3, and I thought they were going to get crushed, but they came back and nearly won. So congrats to them for fighting, and obviously congrats to the Lions for winning. I think both these teams are going to be really good for this season. And our final game that we're going to be recapping is between the 49ers and the Jets. 49ers winning this one 32-19. And, I mean, the 49ers, I mean, this game just proves that Kyle Shanahan can run the ball with anybody, because CMC was actually injured in this game. And they had Jordan Mason running the ball, and he had a very good game. And obviously that contributed to the 49ers, winning this game. And, I mean, it just proves how good the 49ers are. They can really do it with anybody. I mean, Kyle Shanahan's an unbelievable coach when it comes to bringing out the best in players and talent and things like that. And, I mean, normally I'd be more concerned about the Jets losing because, I mean, if I'm being honest, the final score is really 32-13 because the Jets had a garbage time touchdown. But at the same time, this is the first time Aaron Rodgers has played in 2 years, almost 2 years. Because I'm not counting that week 1 game last year. He only played 4 snaps. So I think over time, he's going to get more familiar with his targets, his players, and I think that's going to help the Jets a lot. Good win by the 49ers. They took care of business against an opponent they should have. And Jets, I think you'll be fine in the long run. This is obviously not a fun loss because you lost in week 1. Aaron Rodgers' first game was a loss, but I mean, I think over time, this team will figure it out. I trust them because, I mean, Aaron Rodgers is one of the best quarterbacks in NFL history. And, I mean, he's not in his prime anymore, but I still think he'll be good enough to get this team back to the playoffs for the first time since 2008 or something. Or wait, 2010, my bad. But that's going to do it for this recap. I hope you enjoyed, and I will see you for my predictions.